All right, some headlines out of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Buduka Ade, success has no gender. Women need courage, zeal to push boundaries. Elsewhere from the Guardian this morning, you find this one: police nab two for identity theft, love scam. Gateman bags life imprisonment for sexually assaulting employers. We will partner Southeast governors to rejig region's economy, says NAFDAC. Navy. That's pretty clear. We'll take another one. Federal government targets 0.6% poverty rate, 6.3% unemployment rate. Tales of neglect. Lajes says Nigeria marks World's Teachers' Day. Rosemary Alaba, Afrobeats princess, spreading culture abroad. More headlines out of The Guardian. Court demands EFCC to produce Naira Marley for trial on internet fraud. Obaseki said to launch emergency communication centers in Edo. All right, I move over to the pages of the Premium Times newspaper this morning. Auxiliary nurse is prime suspect in Mohbad's death. Police, that's the latest development on that particular story. Tribunal dismisses PDP candidate's petition against Abia governor. CSU certificate saga, why Atiku will fail at Supreme Court, Tinubu's lawyer. And NPCL reacts to alleged plan to increase petrol pump price. Nigeria partners Global Fund to tackle HIV-related human rights barriers. Tinubu 5 discrepancies we discovered in Chicago University document. Atiku's lawyer. For those who are interested in that one, you find it, of course, in the pages of the Premium Times newspaper this morning. All right, more stories out of the Premium Times. EU restates support for Tinubu's policies. Court orders police to produce Naira Marley. Court jails senior lawyer Ozekume's kidnappers 20 years each. How Nigerian professor allegedly forced student to have oral sex is another one there. NMPCL reacts to alleged plan to increase petrol pump price. Jigawa is 32,000 short of teachers. NUT raises alarm. Nigeria partners Global Fund to tackle HIV. Already took that one. Other headlines here. PDP reacts to tribunal judgment upholding Abia governor's election. Nigerian government to launch $167 million investment in digital creative enterprises program. After Premium Times reports, Plateau government promises to increase street sweepers' salaries. All right, headlines out of the Nation newspaper. Breaking, EFCC secures production warrant against Naira Marley over alleged fraud. How Quack auxiliary nurse administered highly potent injections on Mohbad. Police Ondo kidnapped church members, allegedly paid 50 million naira as ransom. Police inspector, 2 security guards shot as robbers invade hotel in Shagamu. MC Oluoma, why Peter Obi lost 2023 election. Odumodu Black explains. Another one here. Nambe has rejected your lies, blackmail, Silva tells Diri. Senate to fast-track passage of new minimum wage bill, and this one says, pastor docked for alleged threats to kill magistrate in Ondo. I am determined to take Edo people out of poverty, address insecurity, says Agbo Nayima. For more details on that one, you find in the pages of The Nation. From the Daily Post newspaper this morning, you find these stories. New minimum wage bill to get swift consideration, Senate. APC moves to reconcile Akeredolu. Deputy inaugurates reconciliation committee. Mohbad 26 witnesses identified, 5 suspects interrogated. Police gives update. PDP loses as tribunal upholds Abia governor. OT's election. CSU, you can't take Nigeria back to desert. Nabina tells Atiku, distress, sorrow, as caregivers struggle to save malnourished children in Katsina. More headlines from the Daily Post. EU reiterates support for Tinubu's developmental policies. Abia Tribunal dismisses APC's case against OT. Group decries rising cases of cultism poverty in Ebonyi community. Petitions in Wifuru. Ifo Ilobu communal clash. Oyetola appeals for peace. Commiserates with victims' families. Suspected billboards vandals arrested in Ilori. And also, Nasara Varsity announces resumption date for engineering health faculties. All right, from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, you find these stories. Tinubu's wife, Akpabio, 2 PDP governors to attend the Lagos officials' wives' conference. Governor Yusuf hires Tinubu's lawyer to regain mandate. We are expanding focus on indigenous content. African Film Festival. Nigeria has had over 720 vice-chancellors since 1960. Police give full account of how Mohbad died. Police unveil prime suspect in Mohbad's death. There's also another one there. Super Eagles' hottest and most expensive strikers in Europe. Why Tinubu's certificate indicates female president's lawyer. Tinubu's certificates join me to unearth truth. Atiku tells Obi Kwakwenso why most Nigerians overlook terms and conditions. It's Nigeria Daily Piece from the Daily Trust. On the business side, Obasanjo backs local manufacturers, SMEs, to end importation. New twist in Rivers APC crisis as factions bicker over Amechi's directive to back Atiku. And lastly, from the Daily Trust, we are expanding focus on indigenous content. African Film Festival already took that one. And let's take another one. Nasarawa APC rejects majority judgment, backs governor's decision to appeal. All right, headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. Tinubu's certificate setting the record straight. Tinubu and Atiku, the story of common betrayal by Emmanuel Ziken. If you're interested in that one, it's in the pages of the Vanguard newspaper. More trouble for Naira Marley as court issues production warrant against him for alleged credit card fraud. Cancer Center in Kwara will reverse medical tourism in Nigeria, says Governor Abdul Razak. Whoever comes to equity must come with clean hands by Muiwa Adetiba. It's another piece there. How we can rescue Nigeria. Brittle bone disease is not witchcraft, as OIF urges support for sufferers. Kadosa and Naira, what Nigerians should expect. Abducted Ondo church members released after paying 50 million Naira ransom. Tinubu certificate setting the record straight. Alleged EFCC raids. Lagos businessman contemplates suicide over 168 million Naira debt. All right, federal government related story here. Federal government bans use of laterite for road construction. That's also in the pages of the Vanguard newspaper. CSU saga, why Tinubu's certificate indicates female. Afolabi lawyer. All right. Afe Babala to Tinubu. Governors have hijacked local government allocations. You're Nigeria's most prolific election loser. APC knocks Atiku over Tinubu's certificate. All right, we'll take a look at the pages of Nigerian Tribune now. Court issues production warrant against Naira Marley over alleged fraud. Communal clash. Osun government imposes 24-hour curfew in Orolu, Irekpodun, local government areas. Customs intercepts 20 containers expired tomatoes at tin can ports. Insecurity reps to probe failed FCT CCTV contract. More headlines here. Charles Awuzie unveils logo plans for Big Drain Niger TV show. Latoya Egboro troupe, CNS singers, others honor Orlando Julius. All right, still with the Nigerian Tribune this morning, we will give minimum wage bill accelerated passage. Senate assures workers. Nasarawa Tribunal verdict. Group wants appeal court to evaluate dissenting judgment. Ipade Imole. Osun APC, PDP trade words over Adeleke's maiden feedback program. Federal government expresses readiness to implement Executive Order 5 on innovation. Some of the stories you find in the pages of the Nigerian Tribune. All right, before we delve into the analysis, let's take a look at some of the headlines out of the cable NG. This morning, court jails Michael Zekume's abductors for 20 years. No plans to hike petrol. That's another one there. Federal government to launch $617 million investment in digital creative enterprises program. Court affirms Alex Oti as governor of Abia, dismisses PDP's petition. MBS foreign capital inflow declined by 9% to $1 billion in quarter 2 of 2023. More headlines here. Provide your evidence in 30 days. Shoyinka challenges those disputing his certificate. Also, federal government already took that one. I'll take another one here. Ganduje inaugurates committee to reconcile Akeredolu deputy. And lastly, on the business side, US SEC approaches court to force Musk to testify in Twitter acquisition probe. All right, we delve into the analysis now. Doing that with me this morning is Austin Udumu. Good morning, Austin. It's great to have you join us.
Yeah, good morning, Kenny, and thank you for having me.
All right, welcome. So let's start off with the major one, which is common to many of the papers this morning, and it has to do with that certificate saga involving Mr. President. Latest news now we hear is that Atiku has now filed the documents against Mr. President at the Supreme Court. The accusations now are that of forgery, lying under oath. These are the two major allegations, and there's talk about him, Mr. President, being disqualified and removed from office. I'm sure you have followed this development. What is your perspective? Let's have your perspective on what's going on right now.
Yes, the issue of the certificate of Mr. President is a national issue. It's not an issue that ordinarily should just be swept under the carpet because we really need to know how people get into office. And it becomes very offensive to claim to have what you don't have or what you don't properly possess. Of course, ordinarily you begin to wonder what is actually the interest of Atiku Abubakar as far as this issue is concerned. It's in two dimensions if you look at it critically. One, there is a law that says that anybody who tender forged documents stand disqualified, especially for the position of the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Secondly, it is also statute bar that there is a level to which fresh evidence can be admitted. Supreme Court is a court of policy. It's not a court of first instance. There's a section of the law that says that once a case has been decided, especially election petition cases, because the election tribunal is not a regular court like we all are familiar with. It has just a single jurisdiction, which is the validity or the credibility of an election in terms of contestation by candidate and political party. Of course, once in a while, we also find a situation where the Supreme Court have made fresh evidence, especially in civil matters. But this is a peculiar case. It's a case of electoral matter. So it has been filed. Let's see how it goes. The prayers of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is that the Supreme Court should accept this as a fresh evidence. We do not know whether Supreme Court will go ahead to accept it, because what Supreme Court does most of the time, as far as election cases are concerned, is just to look at what the lower court has done, then build on that. Because when you say a certificate is forged, for example, it is the awarding body of that certificate that can go before the court and testify that such a certificate was never issued by it.
Right.
E.g., the case of Adeleke, the current governor of Osun State. The opposition at that time, at the Court of Appeal, said Adeleke forged his certificates. The Court of Appeal then ruled, how can you say somebody forged a certificate when you don't have the original? Where is the original? It is only WAEC in that case that can come out to say that, oh, what Adeleke submitted to INEC was fake. So it is also similar to this case, because Supreme Court is not a court where people filing for witnesses or to give admissible evidences. So let's see how it goes. But if you look at it, a lot of people are whipping up sentiment and emotion as far as the issue is concerned. But don't also forget, logic, emotion cannot take the place of logic and the place of the law. So at the end of the day, we don't know. The case is in court. We have even talked so much about it because it is preempting the court. Some people are also trying to stampede the judges of the Supreme Court, like was done to judges of the tribunal, especially the Presidential Election Petition Courts. So we must be very careful the way we look at it.
Right.
And I hope sincerely that we'll be able to sanitize our country, especially our recruitment process into political offices. This case is not just happening to Tinubu now. It's several years ago. We find a situation where someone who was part of the people that first of all raised that issue in 1999 is a cabinet member under Tinubu as we speak now. So that is the issue that we are finding it difficult to understand. The way people get into office matters. And what you don't have, you are not supposed to parade or claim that you have it. So the CSU, Chicago State University, has given their own side of the story. Let's see how it goes. But the bottom line before, in the case of Atiku Abubakar, was that the president never attended Chicago State University.
Right.
Now, the school said the president actually attended the university. Now, the other leg of it is certificate forgery. How did the president enter? If you follow my line of argument, I think about 2 weeks ago, I posited that all that may just come out of this may just be an opportunity to embarrass Mr. President. Nothing but just to embarrass Mr. President. Because it is not a case of whether the president attended Chicago State University. It's a case of where did he come from? No secondary school background, no primary school background. Even paternity, maternity, everything is in doubt. So it tells us the level to which we have gotten to in Nigeria. This is about the president today. I can tell you, let's bring out all the political office holder out in this country today. You will see that a lot of them will not pass this credibility test, this certificate test. They will not be able to pass it because a lot of them are parading. I attended the school, for example. I should be able to mention the name of my classmates. I should be able to mention the name of some of my teachers, people that we were together in that school. That is about one of the easiest things to be done. But we find all manner of allegation and lying under oath as far as our political office holders are concerned in Nigeria. I quickly take you to the case in Bayelsa before I submit. The case of David Leon, the APC candidate in the past governorship election. You know, the court ruled that the deputy governorship candidate of the APC in that particular election changed his name 5 times. I don't know whether you are getting it.
Right.
He changed his name 5 times. What could make a man, not even a woman by marriage should only change her name for once. But you find out that the man was constantly changing his name up to about 5 times before the Supreme Court said, no, you can't be able to do that. So there are issues as far as this is concerned. I hope that the Supreme Court will adjudicate responsibly. But don't also forget, a lot of people are trying to whip up unnecessary sentiment, trying to say that, oh, it must be like this, the candidate should be disqualified or what. Let's first of all observe and wait patiently whether the Supreme Court will admit fresh evidence. If the Supreme Court admits this outcome as a fresh evidence, because in the petition, in the tribunal, in the Presidential Election Petition Court, article did not mention forgery in his petition. Right. He did not mention forgery. He only mentioned the fact that the president never graduated from Chicago State University. Now the school has confirmed that the president actually attended the school, but there have been a lot of discrepancies. The school has said that, oh, we don't value certificate in the United States of America. What we cherish the most is transcript. Certificate, anybody can print certificate and what have you. You can't build something on nothing. You know, ordinarily, Nigerians should have even been looking at a dimension that what those who lost in that election told Nigerians was that they would go to court to prove that they actually won that election. But now, it looks as if one of the biggest strategy of certain politicians, especially that of Atiku Abubakar, is that once Tinubu is disqualified, he can have his way. So, which means that at the initial, they knew, or he knew, that Tinubu was a candidate to beat in that election. Because we are not even talking about the fact that he didn't win the election. That is not what we are talking about. It's like we have agreed that he actually won that election. But what we now want to do is to find a situation where we establish a case of forgery that will stand him disqualified. But like I said, time is a gentleman. The Supreme Court has about 60 days to be able to rule on that matter. Let's see what the Supreme Court will come out from. But I sincerely hope that we'll be able to sanitize our political system so that this will not continue to happen, because it becomes so embarrassing. Not a national shame. It has assumed international dimension.
Right. That
we are a country that our president, the last president, does not even have a testimonial. This current president now, we are talking about certificate. Certificate or results is one of the easiest things to produce. you produce it to shock your accuser. Look at what Wale Soyinka, some people said he has issue with his certificate or what have you. He gave them 30 days. He said, give me the original. If you have proof, come up with proof. So I think we should deal with this issue once and for all. And those who are into certificate scandal in our country, we must get to the root of the whole issue once and for all. I think our net must come to a situation where we have elected officials whose certificates are controversial and very questionable. It's quite unfortunate.
You just preempted me there on the Wale Soyinka story with that particular one. But you did mention something about the optics, how this looks, and how it reflects on the country. These issues with people in leadership having cases to answer as far as their certificates is concerned. Mr. President, I understand that back then, when he was Lagos State Governor, there was also that issue with his secondary school, and it looks like this is something that has lingered for quite a while. What is it that can be done? What can be done to actually reduce the incidence of these things and probably eliminate them altogether?
See, it's quite shameful that we're having this conversation, especially at this time. Everything that is happening in Nigeria now is about CSU, Chicago State University, the president's certificate, or what have you. It is not done. See, in a sane society, what is obtainable is this. You have a photo gallery of all the students in that school. In the nearest future, when there is anything, at least you'll be able to pinpoint and trace back and say, this is what I have. Of course, some people will come up with argument that you may not necessarily attend primary, secondary school. They will give you the case of Chief Afe Babaola, that he didn't attend primary school, didn't attend secondary school, he did the exam, he entered the higher institution, and so on and so forth. That is a peculiar case. He couldn't afford that because his parents were very poor at that particular point in time. Was that also the case for Mr. President today? The primary school history of Mr. President is controversial. The secondary school history of Mr. President is controversial. At the time, it was a government college, Ibadan. That was earlier debunked. At the time, it was another Western college in Lagos. The president said at that time that he enrolled in 1970. Later, we found out that the school even came into existence in 1974. But like I said, it's a whole lot of problem. We have a lot of certificate saga in our dear country, Nigeria. Political office holder must be thoroughly examined. Like I've told you earlier, see, our recruitment process matters. The way people get into office. You can't, the allegation alone is something that is robbing the nation in a very bad light. We are not saying that the allegation is true. I hope you are getting that.
Right.
The allegation alone, that the allegation even comes. There is this scenario that if you are in a place and something is missing there, and we can't trace or get who stole that particular item, everybody within that environment automatically becomes a thief or a suspect. That is what this scenario is looking like. And I feel that we must deal with it once and for all. Let a system be in place. I know there are some private organizations in Nigeria, when you apply for a job, you submit your credentials, there is a way they verify your credentials. I hope that INEC will also develop that strategy, that mechanism, to be able, maybe the Electoral Act could be amended again to give a time frame by which INEC can verify document that is submitted into it. This is a pre-election matter. Like I told you, I also talk about timing. If care is not taken, the Supreme Court can decide to look at it and say, oh, this should have even come earlier. And at the end of the day, the purpose will be defeated. Some people tried it in 1999, it didn't work. Now, a friend of Mr. President, who knows Mr. President very well, who could also be familiar and be aware that some things were wrong somewhere, is bringing this up and he wants to fight it to finish. So at the end of the day, let it be inculcated into our system as a matter of legislative intervention, a measure by which any document that is tendered must be verified and authenticated before election even take place. Because it becomes very tedious to be able to prove this. Look at the case of Enugu governor, for example. At a time, JAMB came out and said, we didn't issue this, we issued that, we issued that. What is the outcome of the election petition today? He has been returned elected and confirmed by the tribunal, despite the certificate issue, despite the JAMB issue, or what have you. So this is a case that we have to deal with. Don't also forget Salisu Buhari, the case of Kemi Adeosun. So we have a lot of them. That is why I have just told you, let's put all our governors on the radar, all our ministers, all political office holders in Nigeria. You discover that it will be very few of them that will be able to survive that particular certificate integrity test. So we must do things right and get it right once and for all. It becomes so shameful for our president to be at the hunger, and at the end of the day, we are talking about a certificate issue. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said earlier, certificate or academic record, of course, there is the oath of privacy. It's one of the things that you can easily bring out, just easily. You can bring it out as easy as possible. Or people, as many people as possible, should be able to come out to attest to the fact that, oh, we attended the same primary school, we attended the same secondary school. All of this scenario is not about the president attending Chicago State University. Let me tell you, Atiku Abubakar believes that what document did the president use to gain admission into the Chicago State University? You understand? And don't also forget to the admission system in the United States of America is different. Irrespective of whatever you have, once you sit for an aptitude test and they examine what you can do in terms of your IQ, they will offer you admission. And they don't place premium on certificate like we do in Nigeria. But like I said earlier, we must address this issue and rest it once and for all. Okay. And I believe so strongly too that it shouldn't have taken the president eternity to produce his certificate. Of course, according to him, it was misplaced at some point. A reprint was done. Like what is obtainable in the US, it is not even the school that printed it. It is just a vendor. So vendor A printing might be different from vendor B printing. So how did Atiku Abubakar get access to the one with INEC that was reproduced that is now different from the one the school just released? It's a matter of time. So let's allow Supreme Court to look at it critically. The first thing that the Supreme Court has to determine is that whether it is allowable by law to admit fresh evidence at the Supreme Court. That is what the first thing the Supreme Court will determine. If they determine that, then we'll now seek the way forward. But as it is now, we can't even. Some people are jubilating. Some people, oh, the president should resign. Oh, the president should go. What about it? Let the Supreme Court. It has been filed. It has been submitted. So let's wait for the Supreme Court to either reject or admit it as fresh evidence.
Okay, we take a look at this one. The Senate yesterday declared that it would give the anticipated new minimum wage bill from the executive arm of government swift consideration. That's the news we're getting. And of course, for Nigerians, many Nigerians, that can come quick enough, considering, the struggles as far as, getting the basic needs of life met. What do you make of this particular one?
Yes, whatever urgency it requires must be given. Let's just hope that the National Assembly will make it a matter of priority to raise that case once and for all. Because if ministers can come for screening and they simply bow and go, I don't think it's too much for the National Assembly to really consider the minimum wage bill as a matter of national importance. They can even do that within a few days. We have seen a situation where the House of Representatives read the bill for the third time in a single day. First reading, went through first reading, second reading, and the third reading, and it was passed into law. So minimum wage is a matter of priority. We must take care, of course, if not that, the way we are as a people, By now, we should be talking about living wage. You know, I don't believe in minimum wage anyway, because I believe so strongly, maybe because of my background, that the value of money is what money can buy. What is the essence of increased minimum wage with multiplier effect in terms of inflation? And at the end of the day, you find a situation where a minimum wage may not be able to buy a bag of rice. The even 30,000 minimum wage, let's even do a critical analysis. How many states are paying? That's the issue. Right. It is not minimum wage that we are talking about. How many states are paying? It's more convenient for the federal government, based on revenue sharing formula and resources at the disposal of the federal government, to be able to pay seamlessly. But how many of our states are paying? If you see what states are paying that they are calling minimum wage, it's very ridiculous. At times you find a minimum wage of 30,000, for example, and the state will pay maybe 33,000 for the next level, or 32,000. At times 30,500. So it's very, very ridiculous. Let's explain it. How many people are paying? Don't forget too, the International Labour Organization concept states that it is subject to ability to pay. So employer must also, apart from matter of law, employer will have to determine an ability to pay. But it has now become economically imperative in Nigeria for minimum wage to be increased. Subsidy is gone, the hardship has multiplied, and so many things. A lot of Nigerians are finding it very difficult to make ends meet. I believe that in the years ahead, the NSC will come up with robust engagement on how to work on the economy. NSC should not just go on strike just because minimum wage issue, salaries are not being paid, or what have you. NSC should be able to go on strike because our roads are bad. NSC should be able to go on strike because the National Assembly are collecting siphoning our common patrimony in the country. NSC should be able to go on strike because of bad government policy. No, it does not really have to do with money, wage every time. Let them increase minimum wage to 100,000. You will see the level of inflation again, and you find out that in no distance time, people, especially workers, will continue to complain. How about good economy? How about good mass transit? How about good road system? How about good education? How about good health and all of this? These are areas where I feel so strongly that we must hold the government accountable. But like I said earlier, minimum wage is a matter of legislation. It's a matter of law. So it's time bound and it's binding on government that after a few years, we need to review minimum wage and upward review for that matter. So it is not about wage, for example. It's about economy critically. Minimum wage of 30,000 and we have 1 naira to 1,000 naira to $1. What type of economy is that? What type of mathematics, what type of calculation are you going to do with that? Wow. So these are areas where I think the people must hold the government accountable as far as policy direction and dividends of democracy is concerned.
Now, on top of all of that, we're hearing that the NNPC is having to dismiss reports about an alleged plan to increase the pump price of PMS. That's according to this report out of the Daily Post. They had to put out a tweet yesterday saying that there's no intention to increase the pump price as is being speculated.
Yes, I think what NNPC has just come out to do is what we call damage control. You know, in our work, there's what we call damage control. That is what the NNPC has just come to do. For you to dismiss a particular report, which means it first of all originated from somewhere. What NNPC should have told Nigeria is that we are looking for a way to cushion the effects, either by government pumping in more money or more licenses given to investors, business people within the oil sector to bring in products. Oil, a barrel of crude is currently selling for close to $100 in the international market. And you know the dynamics in the oil sector. If crude price goes up in the international market, definitely pump price will rise. So that's the truth. The only time by which that can be thoroughly eliminated is if we have refining capacity locally. But now we are subservient to the reaction in the global crude market. That is the truth of the matter. So once price goes up, of course, that should have been like a comparative advantage for us It means more money for our government, but more pain for the people, because the people have to buy more at the pump price, at the pump, because the government lacks the capacity to ensure that our refinery works. So that's the issue. So what NNPC should have come out to do as a sincere and serious organization is to first of all admit that honestly price may rise. That's the truth. You must tell the people that this is the reason why price will rise. And you now douse the tension by saying that, well, we are not going to effect the price increment. Government will look for alternative means, which is, quote and unquote, are we going back to subsidy? So that's the issue. So NNPC must be very proactive. In short, I still find it very difficult to understand why Mele Kyari, the GMD of NNPC, is still holding office. I find it very difficult. I thought he would be part of the first set of people that will be asked to leave office, because all of his cronies that perpetrated economic sabotage for the country in the last administration, I think it's about the only one standing, from the FIRS, from the CBN, and virtually all of them, EFCC and all of them, they belong to the same cabal to hold the economy of Nigeria by the jugular. So I don't know the work that the NNPC GMD is doing that the president is still keeping. Of course, that is just, by the way, it's at the prerogative of Mr. President. But the truth of the matter is that whatever price increment contemplation in Nigeria is as a reaction to increment in crude price in the international market. So what, like I said earlier, the labor should stand on the neck of Mr. President. Buhari administration said that our refinery, Port Harcourt refinery especially, that is being refurbished, should have been delivered by December last year. December, they shifted the expected date of delivery again to around April. But now, here we are. Let the government sincerely, through the NNPC, come out. When is the Port Harcourt refinery going to come upstream in terms of production? That is what we are talking about. A lot of billions of dollars have gone into that refurbishment of that refinery. So today we can't refine, and the labor movement feel that the only way out of economic suffering in Nigeria is increment of salary. It goes beyond that. Right. So NNPC have not done a thorough job. Like I also said, it's a form of damage control that they are bringing into the matter, because definitely price will rise. And if government does not want price to rise, which means they have to come in between by way of cushioning the effect as a way of subsidy. Right. Except they have to come out in the days ahead to give us more update as far as that is concerned.
Okay, we'll take some commercials. When we come back, I have a bunch of other stories to take Austin up on. Open the phone lines, take your reactions to the headlines this morning. Just stay with us.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
See how I'm using corner eye to look at you as you keep pressing star 321 hash on your phone. Is it not credit that you want to borrow from Glow?
Yes, now. What happened? Has the code changed?
Where have you been, girl? Star 303 hash is the new code to borrow credit and data on Glow.
So the code is no longer star 321 hash, but star 303 hash?
Confirmento. Voila! It worked, oh! Before Uncle, star 303 hash, not before show. But, guy, I hope so the data where you borrow go reach me and you.
Dial star 303 hash to borrow credit and data on Glow and pay later. Star 303 hash, new code, same great ease.
Glow Unlimited.
Are you dreaming of studying abroad? Look no further than UFitFly, your ultimate travel consultant that provides seamless visa assistance to study in Canada and US. Òun lè gbọ́ yẹn àti kàwé ní Canada àti US ti di rọrùn gbà lọ́dọ̀ UFitFly. Gba ìrànlọ́wọ́ tó péye pẹ̀lú admission rẹ lókè òkun àti gbogbo ètò títí tí visa rẹ ó fi jáde. UFitFly will assist you with all processes involved with securing your admission and visa. And guess what? With our study visa package to Canada, you stand a chance to get permanent residency (PR) after your your study program. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o, àǹfààní àti gba ìwé ìgbélú ṣí sílẹ̀ lọ́gán tí ẹ bá ti parí ẹ̀kọ́ yín ní Canada pẹ̀lú ìlànà tá à ń lò lọ́dọ̀ wa ní You Fit Fly. Ẹ pè 0901-111-1190. A wà ní Block 8, Plot 15, lópòpónà 7up, Olúyọ̀lé Main Estate, Ring Road, Ìbàdàn, Ọ̀yọ́ State. Website www.youfitfly.com. You Fit Fly. So àlá ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti ìgbélú lókè òkun rẹ di mímúṣẹ.
I'm living the life cause I get to
Hey, kọ́ńbù ẹ̀kú àlejò imú gbòǹgbò ọ̀nà ẹ̀kú àlejò ẹsẹ̀. Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ẹ̀kú àmójúbà Tizeti Network Limited pẹ̀lú Tizeti ìlò omi òjò lẹ́ẹ̀ máa lo ayélujára íńtánẹ́ẹ̀tì ní yàwàlù torí pé gbajúgbajà nílé iṣẹ́ Tizeti Network Limited nídìí ìpèsè ayélujára lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà fún ilé iṣẹ́ ńláńlá àti olókoòwò kéékèèké lábẹ́ àbúradà Tizeti ẹ lè browse kẹ́ stream kẹ́ sì tún gbá géèmù bó ṣe wù yín láì níkọ̀sẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìlànà ẹgbẹ̀lẹ́mùkú data kèé máa ṣeré ìwọ ni kò má sọ̀fànù 12,500 naira péré lẹ́ẹ̀fì jẹ mùlá data fódìdí oṣù kan gbáko lábẹ́ àbúradà Tizeti láì níkọ̀sẹ̀ ẹ kàn sí wifi.com.ng/oyo ẹ sì lè pe 01-2298-786 tàbí kẹ́ ẹ tẹ àtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ sí internet@wifi.com.ng ayélujára ní yàwàlù.
When the big names talk, they talk to us. Join Golabo Famous School and her team of panelists on the podium
by 9 a.m. every Saturday for a deep dive into trending political and socio-economic issues.
yé náwó dànù láì kéré.
Sporting Crystal àti ikọ̀ rẹ̀ ń pè yín.
sọ̀wédowó lẹ́tọ̀ fáwọn tó mẹ́nu ẹ̀.
láàárọ̀ ọjọ́ Sátidé 8 a.m.
sọ̀wédowó ìfà fàlàfàlà.
32 FM 94.9.
All right, great to have you back with us. 32 FM 94.9, 0705 5949, 0809 7949. Those are the numbers. Let's have your thoughts on the stories making the papers this morning. It's the Break of Dawn Papers Review. Let's have your reactions. We're live on Facebook. You can also drop your thoughts on Facebook as well. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Austin. Good morning. This is Shane from Oyo.
Good morning. Yeah.
No, I want to ask something. This: why investing in America didn't give particularly when somebody lost it at the vendor? I can go to Oluyole, I can go to the to get it. Is it authenticated by that investor? That's number one. Number two, all this saga and is it not the election matter? And when you listen to Atikul's World Conference, it's like Tinubu betraying. It will betray Tinubu. He was talking about oil license taken from him. That means that people don't have anything for us. He don't want to be president of this country. He's not calling on Obi and Kankago to rescue Nigeria from who? From all of them are not cabals. Also, you are not talking about minimum wage. Federal government has said the 325, 35,000 naira. State governors are not saying anything. So, federal government has given 48% increase in May. State governors are, if you want anything good in this country, the state governors should help the federal government in improving the economy of the people. They should release local government. Local government is dead. Have a nice time. Also, please come on Wednesdays. We have missed you. Have a nice time.
All right. Thank you. Austin, do you want to react to that quickly before we move on?
Yes, he talked about the issue of the certificate and the issue of Atiku press conference. Well, that press conference, I think Atiku use it as an opportunity to let people know that it is more of politics and a kind of bitterness that there is an axe to be grinded.
Okay.
That is the way I look. That is the way I look at it, because he even made an allegation that people are not talking about. He said I stood in 2003 to make sure that Obasanjo did not collect Lagos, which means that he, by that word, admitted that the election never took place.
Okay.
They only simply took over those southwest states. It's a grave allegation. Nobody is talking about that. It's the Chicago that we are talking about.
All right, let's take another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, no.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. This is Maruf calling from Oyo, no.
All right, let's hear you.
Yeah. I want to admit to Mr. Austin's
mission on the issue of this NLC and the TUC. It was said that this program sometimes ago that these people, this NLC, TUC, they are selfish. They are fighting on their own interest because look, there are many things in the country, in the economy they're supposed to fight for. The health sector, the business sector, the infrastructure, and all the rest. Look at what happened during the period of cashless program. The number of people that died during the period, they didn't deem it fit that they're supposed to go on strike or to protest. Here we are. So look at the issue of local government. Because the local government in the country are the dead. They didn't know they are fit that they're supposed to go on strike or protest on that one. So this NLC is supposed to reform their agitation for the economy for the country.
Right.
They are selfish on their interest. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Hello, good morning. 0705 5949 or 809 7949. Let's take some messages out of Facebook. I have another call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Let people invite the senators and the House of Reps. Let them come and tell us what they are doing there. Let's forget about election. Election has come and gone. People should demand for these people to come and tell us what they are doing. If the road is not good, it's a death trap. Let them come and repair the road for us. Good morning.
Okay, let's take some messages out of Facebook. Kediran Babatunde says, PBAT will not increase pump price again. He already told us to have rest of mind. We will bring it down. Where is even the money to buy it? They are yet to adjust the take of workers. Our president can't allow that. Now that we have idea of petrol volume we are using per day, paying subsidies now rational to calm down stray nerves. Okay, Babatunde. Hello, good morning.
Thank you. I'm John Newsom. Thank you for your submission this morning. You even spoke like a lawyer too. You see, the question with Atiku, or my problem with Atiku was that late Chief Ganifa Wahini raised this issue some years ago. It was the same Atiku that blocked it. Then if Atiku had been declared the winner of the presidential election, would he have embarked on this intercontinental legal pursuit against Bola Ahmed Tinubu? The question is that will the Supreme Court accept any other thing now or no? That lies on the Supreme Court. Because we have had it when the Supreme Court will either rely on its own rules and the regulations. That will depend on them. Let me be brief this morning. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
This is Olu from LLA.
All right.
You see, this issue of certificate saga, the way I see it, a lot of us are just contributing based on our knowledge of our environment, which I will call ignorance or what I call culture shock. Are we aware of how it operates in the U.S.? If we don't, then I think the best thing is let the court rule on this issue. All this did is forged, it did not forge. Now I have listened to the lawyer of Tinubu. I've listened to Kandu of 3DP. I've read the deposition of the CSU. I think, let the court decide. Good morning.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned, the certificate issue is a pre-election. Though I'm not a lawyer, but it's a pre-election. And I think we are just wasting our time over such issues. But there is a question I ask. Before the election, we hear about DSS and their likes, like the ministers. Before you go to the Senate, you scrutinize some of these things. So probably INEC has a fault there. What we should now do is maybe we should urge INEC, let's look for a way that before the election we'll be able to trace and find out some of these things. Because the reality of it is that it's denting our image. The last president had similar issue. This one again, something is really wrong there. So there must be a way to reform all these things. It should start with INEC. Probably by then, maybe DSS coming in to really do the proper thing. Then so that we'll be able to go through all these things. Good morning. It's okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'll take more messages out of Facebook. On Mobashiru Abiola says Alhaji Atiku has the right to go to the Supreme Court, but he can't win the case at the Apex Court simply because Mr. President has gone to the Red Chamber twice and even ruled in Lagos 2 terms as governor. And Atiku now telling Nigerians he doesn't have school certificate. How come? Why is it now? Atiku's case at Supreme Court is dead on arrival, he says. Other messages here. Okediran Babatune, let Atiku continue to expose more revelations about PBAT because they know themselves. Soon it will be the turn of PBAT when the era is over. Remember, Atiku's hands are not clean about Halliburton and privatization when he was in power. Mustafa Taiwo, okay, take another one. Sholauju says, who will believe NNPC and President Tinubu that petrol will not be increased? They have been lying all along. No serious Nigerians can trust them, and there is nothing like bitterness in what Atiku did. Tinubu had done worse things than Atiku. Honorable King Kumi says Atiku is just trying to package himself as PDP flag bearer in 2027. He knows himself he can't win at the Supreme Court. President Tinubu should give us good governance. This is one, okay? All this one is just distraction from political opponents. Austin, we're about to leave. Your final thoughts to wrap things up this morning.
Yes, the case is already in the Supreme Court, so let's see what the Supreme Court will come up with. I think what happened at the lower court should not happen at the Supreme Court, where a lot of Nigeria decide to demonize in person the justices of the Presidential Election Petition Court. It is uncalled for when you file a case. That was the reason why I said the international or global work press conference of Atiku was unnecessary. You are already before the Supreme Court. You have gone to the US. They've given you what you wanted.
Right.
File it before the Supreme Court. The World Conference was not necessary. So let's allow the Supreme Court to rule. Because as it is now, some of us want to stampede the Supreme Court to taking our own personal decision or to align with our position. The Supreme Court does not work like that. We should not allow emotion to betray or emotion to take the place of logic and law as far as this case is concerned. So it's a matter of time. Within 60 days, we know where we are going. The first point of call is that let's even know whether Supreme Court will admit fresh evidence. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Austin Adumo, for joining me this morning on the Papers Review. The Papers Review will be back your way on the Monday. That's at 6:30 a.m. I'm Kenny